This is Matt from This is the Round Table. Thanks for joining me for another video. Subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the content so you're notified when a future video is hit. And in the description you'll find ways to find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as our website for some of the other things we do. But in this video we're going to be talking about bolt action and buildings. So just like some of the other videos, trying to keep this as together and to the point as possible. But buildings do have a lot to them, so I'm doing buildings as an entire separate video. Again, remember, I'm not 100% rules expert because there's lots of interpretations that can be going there. I might miss something. If so, please bring it to me in the comments, and we can talk about it in the comments and correct there. But let's get an overview on the building, shall we? Let's head to the table and we'll talk about buildings. Alright, let's talk about some basic elements. So we're going to put the tanks off to the side for now. Let's talk about the elements of the building. This is a Sarissa piece. This is from the Pegasus Bridge. It's really nice. The roofs do come off. And when you get inside, you got floors. And then you got the floors. You got doors. Inside are other doors as well. So you know how figures can go. There's a door on the second floor up here that you can use to access the different departments. So when you're talking about buildings, you need to establish how many floors are there, how many units. So this is actually a 4-section building. So we have the first floor here, first floor here. Then we have the second floor for each, I messed that up, for each section as well. So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 units in this building. Now, how do we get into the building? You would issue a run order to get into a building, just like if you were going into a transport. You would declare a run order. They would have 12 inches. I am definitely within range. And the most important thing, infantry can go in through a door or a window. So the infantry just have to get every model within an inch of the door. So if I'm running, I got that 6, I'm really good. In order to get, your models would have to be this far off camera from the building. This is about 13 inches to the door. But there's a lot of leeway, because if you can get within 1 inch of the door or window, everyone, then the unit's inside. So you run inside. Let's say you want to go to the second floor. Then you use an advance order, and you'll go from the second floor to the first floor. If you want to move over here, same thing. Advance order from first floor to first floor, or advance order up, advance order over. And when you want to get out of the building, you can either run or advance out. Now, you can assault out of a building, or if we have an enemy unit on this side, and we have an enemy unit over here, we can assault and shoot at each other because there is a door here. You can assault out of here into, or so a lot of different options. Now again, if you're assaulting, you have to figure out who's got the cover and consult that, because if you're leaving the building into another building, but if you're assaulting within, then it's going to be more simultaneous because you're within range, there's no reactions, and going from there. Let's see, what is next? Oh, shooting. If you want to shoot out of a building, you can have 2 per window. So remember that. It's 2 per window or door. So you could get 2 4 rifles or LMG and 3 rifles, or however you're going to do it, because the loader just has to be within 1 inch of the LMG. So you do not need to take up one of your window slots with the loader. Just position the LMG near the window, the loader behind him. You can put a rifle next to him, and you're good to go. And that way, a 5-man squad, 2 per window, with the LMG behind. The other thing of note is, this building in particular has 2 windows here. There is no windows on the back of this building. This is an exception to the normal shooting rules. If you want, you can position 2 rifles on this wall, an LMG and a rifle on this wall. Let's say we set this 5-man formation. These 2 can have a different target. So if you're in a position where maybe you got openings on 3 sides or even 4 sides, every building side can have a different target. So that's number 1 for shooting. Next thing for shooting is if a unit, let's say now, just imagine there's a rocket launcher up here, a bazooka, Panzerfaust, Panzer, Shrek, up on the 2nd floor, and we have a tank coming by. As long as the tank is within 12 inches of the building that you're shooting out of, you are getting a +1 to penetration because you're shooting the top armor. You have to be on the 2nd floor or higher at a target 12 inches from the window, and you get a +1 for your heavy weapon shot. Awesome bonus. Okay, shooting. Now let's talk about a unit being shot at. Buildings count as hard cover. I know you're probably looking at the bunker. We're not there yet. Any unit shooting at them, this is hard cover, so it's a -2 to shooting. And when you're being shot at a building, I'm going to pull this up. Extra protection. When targeting infantry or artillery units that are inside a building, the die roll an enemy requires score a damage for a hit is increased by 1. So inexperienced is kill on a 4+, regular 5+, and veterans are 6+. So it increases their difficulty to kill. Now, on the flip side, check out the HE conversation, high explosives. A unit being shot with HE, if this unit's targeted by, let's say, a super heavy anti-tank gun, they can shoot this unit and they're not getting a modifier of -2 because it's high explosive. I'm shooting the building with them inside. Which means if I hit, so let's say I was shooting the unit normally, it's 3, let's say I didn't move, it's short range, hard cover for 5. But because I'm shooting the building the unit's in with high explosive, it becomes a 3 or higher to hit. Because they didn't move, it's in short range, and I'm seeing the building. That's a big difference. Now, according to what you're shooting, dictates how many hits you get. So a super heavy should be 3d6. Right? No, should be 2d6. Super heavy anti-tank gun, 3-inch template. So, buildings, so you would roll. Let's say I rolled 6 hits. Now I'm rolling 6 hits on these guys. So, let's say they're regulars. No kills, no kills, no kills. All good. Now let's say for some reason, when I roll for hits, I got a 10 or higher on a building. You're supposed to replace the building with rubble. Every unit inside the building is destroyed because you have been able to bring down the building. It has just collapsed from the high explosive shot. Okay? Now, let's say the units inside the building is being fired on by a mortar. So a mortar is now firing. It's an arching shot. It's indirect. So any indirect high explosive shot, you're going to take a D6 as long as the building's more than one floor. And you got to determine which floor the shell explodes. So you're going to roll. On a 1, 2, or 3, it skips the top floor, goes to the next floor. And you're going to roll again until you either get a 4, 5, or 6, or it hits the bottom floor. And then it explodes, and you roll for your hits as normal. If no one's on that floor, still roll for your hits if you can bring the building down. So that's HE and indirect. Now let's say you bring a flamethrower to the building. You're going to roll the hit like normal, but then you're going to roll 1 dice. On a 4, 5, or 6, the building is on fire, becomes impassable terrain, and every unit has to get out of the building as if it's disembarking in immobilized transport. So what's next? Like I said, there's a lot to the buildings. Okay, I brought my Panther out. Let's say the Panther wants to charge the building. It can do that. It's a heavy tank. Heavy or super heavy tanks. So if I charge the building, I have my armor value of 10 plus a d6. I got 15. This building is demolished. The units inside are dead. The tank is, their dice is changed to down, and they receive a pin for charging into the building. But you would replace this with rubble, and the tank would be in the rubble. If it's a super heavy tank, you get 11 plus a d6. Now, scratch that. I need to go back and edit that. Alright, let's say you want to charge the building. I have my Panther here, heavy tank. I'm going to charge the building. It's going to get a d10 or a 10 plus a d6. So that got a 15. This building I'm going to consider as wood, so it gets a 2d6. I get a 16, which means the building has won, and this is a wood building. The tank is going to get a roll on superficial damage. Now, if this was a brick building, you would roll 3d6. Brick buildings, if they beat the tank, you roll penetrating damage, which is your normal d6, where superficial is a d6 minus 3. So on page 127, it's got the full breakdown for your wooden and brick buildings. So again, if the building scores higher and it's wood, it's only superficial, and you're just going to put the tank in front of the building. If the building and tank score equally, then it resolves superficial damage against this, as if the vehicle is rammed, and the building is destroyed for a tie. But if the building wins, superficial. Remember that. And then, if the tank's higher than the building, it's rubble, the units inside are destroyed and gone. Now, if it's a brick building, it's 3d6 versus the 10 plus a d6. And a brick building can cause penetrating damage to the tank, but the same rules there. Airstrikes, artillery strikes can be performed against units. If it's an artillery barrage, then like preliminary bombardment, you got to count up the number of hits that were affected by all units in the building, added together. If it's the magic number 10 or more, the building is collapsed with all units lost. But now let's talk about bunkers and how bunkers are different. bunkers usually have a well-defined door, so infantry can only go in through that door. They usually also have very well-defined gun ports. So this is an anti-tank gun port, so you would have an anti-tank gun in here. Or if an infantry squad did go in here, you'd only get two guns out of here. If it was one of the long machine gun bunkers, then everyone can shoot out. Big differences. The bunker has 14 hits, not 10. Oh, 12 hits, sorry. It takes 12 hits to destroy a bunker. A unit inside of a bunker counts as a -4 to hit. So if a unit's in there and you're shooting at them, you might as well look at Super 6s, because it's a 3 base -4. That puts you at 7. Unless you're super short, you're it. Also, when being shot at, so if I got my heavy tank here, super heavy anti-tank gun, shooting high explosive shell here, the unit will receive pins, but no casualty rolls. The only way to hurt them inside is either shoot the unit specifically, HE cannot do it, or bring the building down on top of them. So if you rolled 9, would not be enough. You would have to roll two sixes on 2d6 to bring this building down and destroy the units inside. It was a lot, I know, but that's the great part about videos. You can pause it, rewind it, fast forward to whatever you want to look at. And again, in the thick Bolt Action book, the hardback, you will find the vehicle or the building rules starting on page 120 going to 127. And I hope that was helpful. Again, if I missed something, if I misspoke, let me know in the comments. I think I covered everything. I tried to take some notes before I did this and was going off that because there's a lot in there. And there's a couple things that, unless you read that and know it, like if windows are on 2 different sides of a building, you can shoot 2 different targets. That will be awesome for maybe a veteran grenadier squad for Germany with 2 LMGs. You can put an LMG in 2 different windows, and you're putting pins out left and right. But they can be a death trap. They catch on fire, or if they collapse, you're done. But anyway, thanks for checking out the video, and see you next time.
Mm-hmm.